What's Wings doing? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wait, is someone paid?
This is Pure Fred, and today I'm bringing you another video, a more complete and descriptive video on car slots. The video I put out previously, the method was correct, the idea was hit or miss. I have it down to a science now, if you will. This is just the basic 3 slots I'm going to be explaining today, the wheel and pearl, and the two-tone slot. Now, for beginners who really don't understand how car glitches still work, this will be a very difficult video for you to understand. It's very simple once you get it down, but you gotta understand like the basics of GTA and whatnot. Anyway, let's get into the wheel slots. For this video, car slots. For this video, we're going to be focusing on 3 car slots. A two-tone slot, a wheel and pearlescent, and then just a wheel slot. How do we make them? What are they exactly? Is going to be explained later. For now, I'm just going to give you an example of how one would work. This is my wheel slot. What happens is, when I purchase a car, this is a BEFF glitch, this requires 2 consoles. When I would purchase a car on C2, while C1 is locked with this car, that has stock green wheels, let's say for example this car does come with stock green wheels, the Buffaloes, I would purchase it on top of this Dukes, I would replace the Dukes, and then I would come back to a Buffalo with the green wheels, but it would have transferred the paint, it would have transferred everything. Basically, only thing that would have actually stuck would be the wheels. Let's do this Revolter. This is my wheel and pearlescent slot. Apply the same logic. This car comes with a white pearl and a green wheel color, naturally. Since it comes with a white pearl naturally and green wheel color, if I were to buy it on top of my Revolter slot and I do the glitch, I would not come back to the green and blue anymore. I would come back to the same car with the I would come back to a Buffalo but with the same paint, but it would not have a blue pearlescent anymore. It would have transferred the white pearlescent and the green wheel color on top of this paint. The slots are kind of backwards. You would expect the wheel and pearl to transfer onto the other car, but it's the wheel and pearl that transfers onto the current car. And then there's the two-tone one. The two-tone one, or the primary one, is the one where the primary paint would come off of the C2 car. Pretend this car, well, you don't have to pretend, this car is a black and white car. Let's say the black is a secondary, the white is a primary. If I get a car that has a purple primary, do the glitch, get it on top of this car slot, it will have a purple primary and a black secondary. Everything else would remain the same. It would only change that one thing. This might be confusing you. This is why we have to do the glitch. But first, let me explain to you what the difference between slots and spots. Now, every garage has multiple car spots. This garage has 20 car spots. A spot is where a car can reside. As a spot where you can store a car. That's pretty simple. A slot is what every spot has naturally. Every spot, when you buy a garage straight up from scratch, it has 10 empty spots. Before you put any cars there, every one of those spots has a special slot to it. It might have a wheel slot, it might have a two-tone slot, it might have a wheel and pearl slot, or it might have more different slots that I'm not covering in this video. Once you put a car on top of it, for example this LG RH8, and let's say this was a wheel slot, this LG RH8 is now a wheel slot car. You can move it from here to here. The LG will still be the wheel slot. As long as you purchase anything or use anything or do anything on top of that same slot, it'll always give you the effects of a wheel slot if it's a wheel slot. So, this is my wheel and pearlescent slot. I can buy an LG RH8, I can buy whatever, and I can move it to my MOC, I can move it to my nightclub, I can move it back and forth, back and forth. That same slot, it sticks with that car. You can replace the car, it's going to stick right on top of that car. You can't get rid of a slot. Every car spot has a slot. Every car goes into a spot. Every car will now obtain the slot that's in that spot. You might think that wheel and pearl slot that this car has is now here. Not true. It is still here. The only way you can get another car on top of it and do that glitch with it is purchase or replace. So pretty much you still have to purchase it pretty much. You cannot swap a different car on top of it by like that. You can't push one out of a garage and pull it on top of it. You always have to purchase or replace the full-on car that's in this slot. That's the difference between spots and slots. If you guys have a better explanation than me, please legitimately comment it and I'll actually pin it, because it's very difficult to explain a spot versus a slot when I'm explaining something that's invisible to you. I'd have to draw it out, and I will. Let's explain not spots versus slots, but how the wheel and pearl slot would have worked. Okay, pretend this is my Revolter, I guess. Nice design Cadillac. This is my Revolter, right? And it naturally has red wheels on it right now. And this is my wheel and pearl slot. And then it has a green pearlescent on top of it. Please have audio on. This will be very confusing otherwise. This is sitting on top of my wheel and pearl slot right now. Wheel, pearl. This is sitting on top of my wheel and pearl slot. Now, I would lock C1, so I'm going to draw a little lock sign here. And then I'd go to C2. And I would simply purchase any car. You can even use the car meet ones, but that requires a third person. As long as, for this video. Let's just say we're going to purchase a Racing Buffalo, which comes with a stock green unselected wheel color. And a white pearl, since we're doing wheel and pearl. Okay, we purchase the Buffalo. I'm going to write Buff-alo. Now, on top of the wheel and pearl slot on C2 is the Buffalo, which has a green wheel color and a white pearlescent. On C1, what we do is we take the Revolter that we still haven't lost, and we drive it into LSC, and we change the wheel type and tire design. And then we would quit. Okay, we're done here. Now, remember, we had a car, Revolter, that had red wheels, green pearlescent, and then we bought a Buffalo that had green wheels, white pearlescent. We're going to come back to a Buffalo. This is our Buffalo. But it's going to have I can't draw a white pearlescent, but pretend I'm drawing a white pearlescent. It's going to have a white pearlescent, and it's going to have those stock green wheels. But it would have transferred everything else from the previous car. Pretend that car was red before. The Buffalo is now red. It's called a wheel and pearl slot because of what you get from C2. You get the wheel and pearlescent from the C2 car onto the C1 paint. It's very backwards. It's strange too. That's the wheel and pearlescent slot. This is how every slot that we cover today is pretty much going to work. It's just going to transfer what you buy from C2's car onto the C1 car, but you're going to have that C2 car that you purchased with the paint, etc. from C1's car. It might be easier to actually visualize me and watch me do it. I'm sorry you guys have to watch this long video. Again, check pinned comments. Somebody might have explained it like a professional, and I would have pinned it. But let's get into doing the actual in-game stuff. Okay, we've got our two consoles up. You might have the simple-ish understanding of slots, but let's try to explain it in a video format now. Alright, how do we find our slots? Simple. For this one, since I already know where my car slots are, I'm just going to show me doing it on these three. Okay, while I do it on these three, you do what I do on a full garage. So, first thing you want to do is you want to buy LED RH8s everywhere as much as you can. Let's say you're doing the agency garage, you have 20 slots to play with. So, buy 20, just fill it up fully with LED RH8s. I'm using the color blue. You can do what I do, or you don't have to. Agency garage, and just make this completely full of LED RH8s. And once you're ready, give me a second. Okay, Now that you've filled up your agency garage of LGRH8s, for me, I'm just going to be testing these 3 slots that I already know give me the results. But for you, you'll be doing all of them, and I'll be showing you guys what to do next once these things deliver. Okay, now that we have our cars, our LGs delivered, we're going to be locking our console now. So open up your archive router, or netcut, whatever you like better, and we are locking the console. This is going to be the lock way. Lag, figure it out. It's pretty simple. Now that the console is locked, you know how we can check chats. They don't load. Cool. Alright guys, now that we've loaded up our C2, remember, I use agency because there's a mod shop inside of my agency. You guys can use office garage, arena workshop. You guys can even use the Eclipse towers, but you guys just have to drive to LSC back and forth, back and forth. So I recommend using something that has a mod shop inside of it. So pretty simple what we do here, literally. You see those 3 LGs? All we do is we replace them with stock Buffalo race cars. So I guess watch and learn. San Andreas, served by Price, Bravado Spunk Buffalo, Agency Garage, and replace the 3 LGs that you see in front of you. Or if you're doing the whole garage, replace, no matter whatever you're doing, wherever you bought LGs, replace them all with Sprunk Buffaloes. I'm gonna explain why we use Sprunk Buffaloes in just a second. Now, the reason we use Sprunk Buffaloes is mainly because of their stock green wheel color and the pearlescent that they have. They have a white pearlescent. It also is pretty simple to tell if your car has been painted because a stock one always looks like this. It always is yellow, green, and there's a little bit of white in the back. Yellow, green, and white, yellow, green, and white. And I'll show you guys everything once we get over to C1. So, once you've bought those 3 cars, the little outfit save never hurt nobody. And I like to quit through Franklin, and I dashboard my game right here. So now that we've purchased our Sprunk Buffaloes, all we're going to do is you get into the LGR Chase, the ones that we replaced, and everything we're doing is the same thing. Wheel type, apply any wheel type, and then apply the tire design. Rinse and repeat for every single LGR H8 that you have purchased and replaced on C2. So I replaced these 3 with Sprunk Buffaloes on C2, and we haven't unlocked either. So unless you've seen it, don't do it. Again, and I'm just doing 3 this time. So number 3 is getting its wheel type and wheel design selected. Wheel type and tire design. Now, before I quit, make sure whenever you do this that there's 2 things you're looking out for. No matter what car you use on C1 or C2, make sure they do not have Benny's wheels. Only way you can do that is if both cars can take Benny's wheels stock. If you're using an LG RH8, do not have Benny's wheels on C2. Do not do that. Once you're not using Benny's or F1's too, use just stock wheels. Also, neither of the cars must have a tire design prior to starting. If it has a tire design, it's not going to work for you. So make sure they're both stock wheels. They don't have to be stock. Just make sure they're both stock tires, I guess, if you want me to be specific here. None of them can have tire design selected on them. Once you've done what I have done with the LGs, you know the deal. A quick little outfit save, never hurt nobody. Franklin, and I dashboard my game here. And now you can unlock, come on, get over here. Unlock your console. That's it for the glitch method. Once you guys already have the slots that you want and know how to use them, this is the method that you will repeat for every one that you do. You might just be doing one time. You do the same exact thing where you just change the wheel type and wheel design. That's the method. Now the results. Let's boot up and show you what you're going to be looking for if this is your first time doing it. Alright, we've booted up our C1 again. We've loaded right back in. Actually, it doesn't matter what you boot up. Just load back into online any way you want. Let's go see what we're looking for. So, we know they're all going to be Sprunk Buffaloes. That's a fact. But it's the result of what it looks like is what is going to tell us what kind of slot it is. Okay. So, First thing we see is that they're all painted. That means they all carry a paint. Let's not get into the specifics. Let me explain what we're looking for. So, there's 3 slots we're looking at. The two-tone slot, a wheel slot, and then a wheel and pearlescent slot. Now, how do you know if it's any of them? First off, all of them will be painted. Now, when you buy a Sprunk Buffalo, they all look like this. Like I said, they're all yellow, green, white at the back. Every single one of them will be painted. See how all of these are painted? That means they're possible to be one of the slots. Now, let's look for a slot. First thing you're going to want to do is get into every single one of them that are painted, and you're going to be applying a roll cage. Roll cage, why? The roll cage is the secondary color from the previous car that was on top of it. So, we see a painted car, we see a painted roll bar. If the roll bar is white, that means it's not painted, it didn't carry the paint from the previous car. Okay, and do we see a pearlescent? We see no pearlescent, it's a black pearlescent. What does this mean? That means the LGRH8 has a stock black pearlescent. So, if there's a painted primary, there is. If there is a painted roll bar, there is. And if there is a black pearl, there is. That means it's a wheel slot. Okay, so we know that this is a wheel slot. That means that the wheel color from the car that we purchased on top of the Elegy, which was green in this case, will be there, but it would have gotten the paint, it would have gotten everything that's not a wheel from the Elegy RH8. It got the blue, which was the primary color. It got the light blue, which you see on the roll cage, which is the secondary color, and it got the black pearlescent, everything that the LG RH8's paint normally has. The LG RH8 that we had on top of it previously was the blue one. It has the blue paint, it has the secondary blue color that it had, and it has the black pearlescent that that car previously had. Okay, that means that this is a wheel slot. Let's back out. Now, let's see what this car has. We already identified our wheel slot. Alright, let's test out the second car. It's painted. Okay, good sign. There's a white pearlescent now. You can see in the front of the hood. And let's put on the roll cage. Okay, painted roll cage. This car is the same as the last car, but this one actually has a white pearlescent. Okay, what is this? Let's see. Painted primary, correct. Painted roll bar, correct. White pearl. This is our wheel and pearl slot. That means the wheel color and the pearlescent that is on this car, the Sprunk Buffalo, transferred on top of that paint that the previous car had. Okay, so this is our wheel and pearl slot. And then we already know the last one, two-tone slot. How do we find out? Alright, the two-tone slot, we're going to be looking for a painted primary. We have white pearl. Let's see. We have, and then the roll bar must be white. That means it's not painted. That's how the basic works. This is how it works basically. Now, I recommend you guys, when you guys go in C2, get a friend and have him give you a modded car, because that's how you would usually do it to get the perfect results that you want. But you now have the specific slots you guys want. You guys have your wheel and pearl, wheel slot, and your two-tone slot. Buy over them, buy specific cars on top of them, label the specific cars, and then just do not lose track of these cars. Do not lose track of these slots, better to say. Again, you have countless opportunities to try other garages, but keep these slots close. These are your 3 main slots. I'm going to put those things that I was just referring to, the painted primary, white roll bar, white pearl equals this type of slot. I'll put all that in the description so it's easy for you guys to figure out what to do. And then you can just play around with these slots. Again, I know this video might not be as in detail as my other videos. I have been putting this video off for like 2 weeks now because I cannot figure out the best and easiest way to explain it. This is something that you guys need to test yourself. Remember, the wheel slot, the wheel would transfer from the car you purchased on C2, and the paint and pearl and secondary and whatnot would transfer from the C1 car. Same for all of them. The wheel and pearl slot, the wheel and pearl would transfer from the C2 car, which is the Sprunk Buffalo in our example. You could use whatever you guys want through like LS car meet, would transfer the wheel and pearl onto the paint and secondary from the car on C1. Two-tone would transfer the primary from the C2 car onto your C1 paint, so pretty much the secondary would stick, and you would receive that. So try and play with it. I know this isn't as in detail as I want it to be. If you have a better way of explaining it, throw it in the comments. If this leads to too many questions and way too much complications, I'm again going to take the video down until I can figure out a super simple way to explain it. So yeah. I can't even say hope you enjoyed, because this doesn't feel like a complete correct video to me. But if you learned something, that's good. I'm not really happy with the video, but I'd rather put it out so you guys can maybe gather something from this and maybe figure it out on your own. Anyway, I'm out. Purified style. Peace.